All right, let's look at E9-30A, and we're going to show the effect of each of these transactions on your accounting equation. When a company declares a cash dividend of 78 million, what's basically happening here, as soon as you announce that you're going to pay a dividend, you're not actually paying it, not at the point when you declare it. It takes a while to get those dividends figured out as to who they go to. So again, remember the 3 dates. You've got your declaration date, at which point you're going to credit your dividends payable and debit retained earnings. Now the question, or when you do this in MyLab, it'll ask what happens to shareholders' equity, and it decreases it. Then on the date of record, they will figure out who actually is entitled to the dividend, and then they will a little later then get the checkbook out, reduce their cash, and pay the dividend, reduce the dividend payable. So that's the next one. Down will go your cash, and down will go your dividend payable. No effect on stockholders' equity. All right, a 25% stock dividend. Now, when you do a stock dividend, what you're going to do again is you're going to move money out of retained earnings into common stock. But remember, we have to split our common stock into the amount that's par and the amount in excess of par. So here in this example, at the time that the stock dividend is declared, there's the price is $8.25. So how do we record that? Well, we're going to move out of move out of retained earnings the dividend of, and I've got this amount here, 144,375, and what that equals is your 825 times 70 million shares times 25%. Okay, so that's how I get that. Again, it's the 825 times the 70 million shares times 25%. Now, to balance you out, you're going to give basically shares and give them additional shares. The amount that goes into the common stock is your par times the number of additional shares issued. Well, the par is $2 per share times 70 million times 25%, and that's how you get $35 million. Again, you take the $2, the par, times the number of shares issued, 70 million times 25%. Okay, so a quarter of the 70 million shares were issued. A 50% stock dividend is considered a large stock dividend, and it's different than the amounts that are below. The difference is that you don't split, if it's a large one, you don't split it between common stock and additional paid-in capital. So the effect would be 70 million, which again is the $2 per share times 70 million times 50%. We do not use the market price. We use the par value. It's an accounting rule. Nonetheless, on both of these, remember that there is really no effect on the financial position of the company. Sorry about that. What you're basically doing is just moving money or amounts from one equity account to another. Okay. In E, we're purchasing 1,900 shares of treasury stock. What you are having to pay is not $2 per share, that's the par. You've got to pay the market price. So your cash that you're going to pay is 9,000. It comes out to be 9,975. the 1900 shares times the price. That's what you've got to pay. And that all is going into treasury. And the effect then, when you debit treasury stock, you're decreasing stockholders' equity. If you turn around and sell some of those shares, 900 in this example, you got to pay the market price. So you're going to receive $7 per share for those 900. Sorry about that. For those 900 shares, 7 times 9 to get to the 63. Now what we're going to end up crediting here is this treasury account. But remember, before I told you that you can only credit the account by the amount you had originally debited. So we had originally debited the treasury stock for just $5.25 per share. So we can only do 525 times 900 and reduce treasury stock by that amount by crediting treasury stock. So let me go through that again. So in other words, we're going to credit treasury stock for $4,725, which is the 525, the original cost, times the 900 shares. But remember, we paid amounts over that. Well, that additional amount that you had to pay will be that additional paid in capital in excess of par. So it's whatever it takes to balance this out, or it's the 7 minus the 525 that you had credited treasury stock for times 900 shares. The overall effect is that it increases shareholders' equity. Lastly, a 2-for-1 stock split. There's no entry. There's no effect on stockholders' equity. The makeup of the stock will change. The par value will equal just $1 instead of 2, because you're getting twice as many shares, so that there's no longer just 70 million out there. There'll be 144 million. So although the makeup of the shares that are out there differs, the total stockholders' equity is not affected.